Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. We have so much to get into on this morning's video, but before we do that, please do me a small favour. If you are watching for the first time today, make sure you subscribe bottom right hand corner. We are literally on the brink of hitting 42,300. We're only a couple of subscribers away, so please go and subscribe and make sure you drop a like as well. On the show this morning, we are going to be talking about Gyökeres. I know people are like, why are we talking about this again? There was a huge update last night from Fabrizio Romano, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to be talking about the goalkeeper situation. We're going to be talking a bit about Garnacho, a bit about Bryan Mbeumo, who obviously became an official Manchester United player yesterday. Lots of other stuff to get into as well. But we're going to start the show off by talking about the striker position, and I want to get your thoughts. How do you feel about this whole striker situation? Who should Manchester United be going for? Should they be going back in for Gyökeres? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I know people are very much like, oh, he wants Arsenal, I don't want him. But I want to get your thoughts. Like, really? Is that really your standpoint? Just because he wanted Arsenal, you don't want him? Like, I don't know if I agree with that. But anyway, get your thoughts in the comment section. We're going to start off by talking about Gyökeres. And I know a lot of people are probably sick to death of talking about Gyökeres, but at the end of the day, we bring you guys the news, we discuss it, and that's effectively the format of the show. So it is what it is, right? So this is coming from Fabrizio Romano. This was 5 hours ago. Fabrizio Romano is reporting this. In the last few hours, Manchester United have been offered the chance to sign Viktor Gyökeres and hijack the move from Arsenal. So Sporting Lisbon have effectively reached out to Manchester United. And just before anybody says anything, this is coming from Fabrizio. This isn't coming from some random account you've never heard of. This isn't coming from some tabloid newspaper in Portugal that you've never heard of. This is coming from Fabrizio, who alongside David Ornstein is probably the most reliable journalist in world football, okay? He doesn't put out fake stories. Sometimes he over-dramatises things. Sometimes he posts the same thing 20 times. I get that, but this is a new bit of news that's come out. We've had other Portuguese outlets reporting the same thing. Most people have said it's a lie, it's not true, it's not a reliable source. But now that Fabrizio has said this, I think you do have to pay some sort of attention to it. Obviously, we heard this kind of story a couple of days ago, but when I looked at the source, I was like, I'm not going to do a video saying some newspaper in Portugal I've never heard of is saying that United want Gyökeres again, because it's just like, I don't know, it's just like, what's the point, right? But with this one here, I think it's pretty difficult to ignore it. So effectively, Sporting Lisbon have offered Manchester United the chance to hijack the transfer from Arsenal. Now, realistically, this is obviously just because they can't agree a deal with Arsenal. I don't understand how Arsenal are making such a meal of this transfer. In all fairness, it might just be that Sporting Lisbon are asking for more money than what Arsenal want to pay. That's probably the most likely scenario here. Or maybe Arsenal don't want to pay the payment terms that Sporting Lisbon want. You've got to remember, right, with transfers, there's all sorts of different layers to it. It's not as simple as we'll give you 60 million and the deal's done. It might be that Sporting Lisbon are asking for 30 up front and Arsenal say, no, we'll give you 10. Or we just don't know the breakdown of the deal. But what is clear is Arsenal and Sporting Lisbon don't seem to be able to agree the fee for Gyökeres. It doesn't seem to have happened. And now because of this, the season starts in 3 weeks. Gyökeres isn't training with Sporting Lisbon. He's on strike. They've been in pre-season, I think, for nearly 2 weeks now. And he's not training. I mean, this is a terrible situation for Sporting Lisbon. Their most prized asset in Viktor Gyökeres is effectively now on strike, and they can't seem to get him out of the club. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess for them. And that's why now, I wouldn't say they're desperate yet, but they're coming across a little bit desperate. The fact that they're offering him to Manchester United, again, saying, are you sure you don't want him? These are the terms we want. Arsenal don't want to pay these terms. Will you take him? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this one. I think, I'm going to say this from the off, I would 100% take Gyökeres without a shadow of a doubt. I don't care whether he wanted Arsenal, really. Like, if I was Gyökeres, I would want Arsenal as well. Arsenal have Champions League football. Arsenal are way further in their development than us. It's a much less riskier move. Coming to Manchester United, we could either finish next season in the top four or we could finish in the bottom four. Like, I know that sounds a little bit dramatic, but it could literally go either way next season, you know? We could genuinely be top 4 next season, or we could be near the bottom again. It's almost impossible to predict. Whereas with Arsenal, you know that they're going to be in the top 4. They're going to challenge. They've improved their squad massively. They brought in Zubimendi, Madueke. They've brought in a couple of other players as well. Damsgaard. Like their squad's got better. Our squad at the moment, I think our squad has got better, but not massively. We still need a goalkeeper, a midfielder. We probably need wing backs. Potentially need some defenders. Arsenal kind of have everything already, and they're just putting the finishing touches on. Whereas we're very much at the stage of let's completely rip the team apart, get rid of Rashford, get rid of Sancho, get rid of Garnacho. Lindelof's gone, Eriksen's gone, Johnny Evans is gone. It's like rebuild, isn't it, at the moment for Manchester United? Whereas Arsenal are kind of at the end game. Like, they need to win a trophy next season. A trophy is expected next season for Arsenal. Whereas Man United fans, a success would be finishing the top 10, I think. Which maybe seems a little bit simple, but I think that probably is, would be a successful season finishing in the top 10. And I know that sounds laughable at this stage, but I think any higher expectations than that would be a little bit maybe unpredictable. Not unpredictable, a little bit. I don't know. I just don't think that we can expect to be in the top 4 next season, like guaranteed. It's not going to 100% happen, is it? But I want to get your thoughts on this Gyökeres story. Obviously, this is coming from Fabrizio. Like I said, if it was coming from someone, I'd never heard of, I wouldn't have bothered talking about it. But the fact that it's Fabrizio reporting this story this morning, saying that he's been offered to Manchester United by Sporting Lisbon, I think it does make your head turn a little bit. And I would take him. Let me do a poll. Let's see what people are saying. Would you still take Gyökeres? I feel like the Man United fan base are a little bit bitter about this Gyökeres situation, and I don't really understand why. There you go. Would you still take Gyökeres? Let's see what the results of this poll are like. I don't want to influence what people's votes are, but I just think that this whole narrative of, oh, well, he wants Arsenal, I don't want him. I mean, who cares? Who cares whether he wants Arsenal? He's going to come to Manchester United if he did come to Manchester United, and he's going to work hard and he's going to perform. Like, it doesn't really matter, does it? Like, if you get offered 2 jobs, right? They both pay the same amount of money. One of them's for this amazing company that's really, really performing, and you're going to, have the chance of winning big achievements at this company and stuff. And then you've got another company who's about to go bankrupt. You're going to pick the other company, aren't you? You're not going to pick the company that's in the gutter. So, let's just simplify this into our everyday normal lives. And I know that football's slightly different, and there's way more of an emotional attachment to football and, the fan bases and all the rest of it versus my analogy. But do you know what I mean? Like, if this was in everyday life, then, another example could be you have 2 favorite restaurants, right? You go to your favorite restaurant, but it's fully booked. And then your second favorite restaurant's available, right? Do you say, oh, I'm not going to go to this one now because my other one's... Of course not. You'd go to the other one. And I know, again, that's a bit simple, but there's this weird feeling that I've spoken to some fans about where they're like, well, if he wants Arsenal, I don't want him. I don't want him. And it's like, why? Why does it matter? Just we need to humble ourselves. For points of last season, there was conversation about us getting relegated. And maybe that was over the top, but we were right down the bottom. And if we kept losing games, we could have genuinely fallen into that kind of category. If the other teams below us weren't so bad, we genuinely could have got relegated last season without even trying to be funny, But because the teams in the bottom 3 were so poor last season, it kind of saved us. And if you look at the points totals, right? Let's have a quick look. We finished the season on 42 points, guys. 42 points. Usually 40 points is kind of where the relegation zone starts, realistically. If you look at the previous seasons before last, the season before last, the relegated team got 38 points. So we were only 2 or 3 points away from being in the relegation zone in a typical season. It was just last season, the bottom 4 was woeful, wasn't it? The bottom 3, sorry. Really, really bad. But yeah, I'd be very interested to see what you guys all have to say. There's a lot of people in the chat saying that they'd prefer Sesko. Yeah, I mean, Sesko's a good option. Don't get me wrong. I like Sesko. I think he'd be a great signing, and I would definitely welcome him at the club. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say on this. Like, yeah, I want to get you guys' thoughts. So let me know in the comment section now. I want to read out some of your comments. So get some comments in about this, Bryan. Sorry, about this Viktor Gyökeres situation. Whilst I'm waiting for you guys to get some comments in, I'm going to jump on over to Benjamin Sesko. There are some more murmurs today that apparently United are interested in Sesko. David Ornstein's been talking about the striker situation as well. I wanted to touch on this. So David Ornstein is saying that apparently Rasmus Højlund wants to stay at Manchester United this season. Okay. He says, however, there is a good chance that he leaves this summer as well. So he wants to stay. But Manchester United effectively want him gone. That's realistically what he's saying here. If you read between the lines. Yeah, I don't know. I think Højlund needs to be moved on. Realistically, it's as simple as that. Whether it's on loan, whether it's a permanent transfer, he needs to go. It's simple. He's just not working for Rasmus Højlund at Manchester United. I wish it was different. I really, really do. I wish that Rasmus Højlund, you know, I don't know. I just wish that it had turned out differently, but it hasn't. It's been a disaster. And realistically, we're in a position now where we need a striker. He's not performing. What can we do? You know, all we can really do at this point, in my opinion, is move him on. And I think moving him on is the best option right now. But yeah, obviously, again, let me know your thoughts on this. Like, do you think that Rasmus Højlund has a future at Manchester United? Or do you think that his time at Manchester United is over? I mean, I'd be very surprised. I'd be very, very surprised if anybody here thinks that he has a future. But all right, let's see what people are saying in the chat. That's a good one, actually. Someone says, why don't you do a poll between Gyökeres and Sesko? Great idea. Thank you very much for that. Right, so we're going to end the first poll. The results of the first poll were this. 71% of people watching the video this morning would like to still take Gyökeres, and 29% of you said that you would not. So I think it has gone down a little bit. So we'll do this. Who would you rather sign? That's a really good idea, though, whoever suggested that. Thank you very much. So we'll do Gyökeres or Sesko. There you go. The poll is live. Get yourselves involved, guys. Again, if you're not watching this video live, you can get back in the comments section. Who would you prefer? If you had to pick between Gyökeres and Sesko, let me know your thoughts. Let me answer the question as well, obviously. I would go with Gyökeres, to be honest. I would go with Gyökeres, definitely. Gyökeres would be my option. I think the fact that Gyökeres has played in England before, the fact that Gyökeres has worked under Ruben Amorim before, the fact that Gyökeres is that little bit older and more experienced, and the fact that Gyökeres is the player that Manchester United initially wanted. I think when you add all of those things together, yeah, it would definitely be Gyökeres for me. But I'd be interested to see, obviously, what everyone else thinks about this. Let's see what the poll... Wow, at the moment, it's literally 50-50. It's neck and neck. All right, people are asking me to add more options to the poll. Okay. We can add more options to the poll if you want, but I feel like most people are going to pick Sesko or Gyökeres, no? Obviously, some people are saying, what about Watkins and what about Mateta? But I don't think... are people really going to pick Watkins or Mateta? I don't know. Over Gyökeres and Sesko? Alex says 100 goals in 2 seasons. Sesko is decent, but not the same level. Yeah, fair enough. Right. Okay, let's move on to some different stories. I'll come back to the chat in a minute. Somebody says Sesko, Gyökeres doesn't want us. Look at Mbeumo, he wanted us. Fred says Sesko hasn't refused to come, not like Gyökeres. I don't think Gyökeres ever refused to come, guys. I think that's been over-dramatized. Multiple people have said that that Gyökeres would come to Manchester United. His preference was just Arsenal. And like I said, how can we push somebody down and kick off because he chose a team that were further ahead in their development and had Champions League football? I mean, the point I'm making here is if Arsenal isn't an option for him anymore, then we should definitely be in the race to sign him, and we should sign him, you know? And the whole point of this part of the video is that Fabrizio is saying that he has been offered to Manchester United. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But all right, let's move on from there. Let's talk about the goalkeeper situation. So the latest on the goalkeeper situation this morning is that apparently Manchester United are progressing with a deal to sign the Belgian international goalkeeper. I always get this guy's name wrong. Senne Lammens. It does, however, say that he is seen as a backup goalkeeper to Onana. Yeah, this is kind of what I thought would be the case, to be honest. I thought that, I thought that he would not be the first choice. Obviously, Emi Martinez was going to be a first choice goalkeeper, wasn't he? But at the moment, it looks very much like, it looks very much like this Lammens guy, who I've watched a couple more videos on him as well, and he does look decent. He looks very much like he'll be, like the reserve team goalkeeper. It looks like Altay Bayindir is going to leave. But, yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. All right, let's see what people are saying in the chat this morning. Somebody says, are you purposely leaving out Nicholas Jackson from the poll? I mean, if you want me to do the poll again with Nicholas Jackson in it, we can do it. But is anybody really going to pick Nicholas Jackson? I don't think there's a single person in this chat this morning who's going to pick Nicholas Jackson over Gyökeres or Sesko, realistically. I mean, fair, unless they're a rival fan. The question was just that someone posed in the chat. They said, do a poll, Sesko or Gyökeres. I mean, those are the two best options, right? Osman's already, here we go, to Galatasaray. Sesko's available. Gyökeres, God knows what's happening. So both of these two players are still available. So it's kind of pointless me adding, players who aren't. Yeah, surely we're not going to sign Nicholas Jackson. Surely. He'd cost the same amount of money as Gyökeres, apparently. It's like, why would United do that? They want like 50, 60 million for him. 50, 60 million for Nicholas Jackson. No, thank you. Yeah. All right, let's move on from there, though. I'm not adding Nicholas Jackson to the poll. I'm not. If there's anybody in the chat this morning who wants Nicholas Jackson as the striker, you can just put in the comments section, I would pick Nicholas Jackson, and give me your reasons, and I'll read it out. But I can't imagine there's going to be anybody in there. If there is, I apologise, and I look forward to reading your comment, but I very much doubt it. There's a little bit of a story here, actually, that I wanted to bring in about Bryan Mbeumo. So there's a story that came out last night saying that apparently Chelsea tried to make a late attempt to hijack the Bryan Mbeumo deal. Wow. It says that Mbeumo came under pressure from Brentford to listen to a rival offer. There was also interest from Arsenal and Newcastle. So, yeah, I mean, we've done well here. Arsenal, Newcastle, Tottenham and Chelsea all tried to sign Bryan Mbeumo, and we managed to get him over the line. So, yeah, I'm happy about that. Rival fans will say, oh, it's because of the wages. But that seems to not be true. There's a story here about his wages, which I think is also important to talk about. This is coming out from The Athletic. He says that The Athletic are reporting that Bryan Mbeumo's salary at Manchester United is based on performance, incentives, and fits within the club's new pay structure. So we don't know the exact amount. My guess would be around 150,000 a week, I reckon. Something like that. So yeah, effectively, the rival fans are going to say, they're going to say the only reason he's joined you is because you've given him loads of money. But from what we're reading, that's not true. Not true at all. So yeah, take it all with a pinch of salt, guys. There's going to be a lot of stuff out there trying to bash Manchester United, saying he's only joining you for the money. I was listening to Talk Sport last night. I don't know why, and they're already trying to say that that Manchester United are having to pay Rashford's salary. Like, a lot of these people on the mainstream media, they know less than me or you about our club. They might know more about the club they support, but I think it was Gabby Bonahor and someone else, and they were all sat there saying, oh yeah, Man United are probably going to have to pay half of Rashford's salary, aren't they? And it's like, how do these people not know what has been publicly put out there? So just be very, very careful. I've already had a couple of my friends message me saying, oh, Bryan Mbeumo has only joined you because you're going to pay him 350 grand a week. And I'm like, where have you read that? I think Cunha's on about 150. Why would we pay Mbeumo 350, So just be careful. There's a lot of people out there who are jealous of Manchester United, not because of what we're doing now, but because of us historically. So yeah, you just got to be aware that, there's going to be a lot of bitter people. So yeah. Wow. This poll's really interesting, guys. So 52% of you would pick Sesko, 48% of you would pick Gyökeres. Wow. That's crazy. That's really, really mad. So at the moment, more people watching the video would like Sesko than Gyökeres. That's mad. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. But the one thing I will say about this is, what do we think? Yeah, like, if the Gyökeres situation had played out differently, would you perceive this situation differently? Does that make sense? So, if he hadn't have rejected Manchester United and wanted to come to Manchester and didn't want to go to Arsenal, do we think the results of this poll would be the same? Or do we think it would be different? I feel like I said a couple of minutes ago, the United fan base are a bit bitter. They're bitter that Gyökeres supposedly rejected United. But like I said before, I don't buy into this whole narrative. I think he's just said that Arsenal's his preference, and that's because of Champions League football. That's because of where they are, i.e. challenging for titles. And because it's a more safer option, at the age of 27. I don't think it's as simple as he's rejected Manchester United. He's just saying that he prefers Arsenal. And I have no problem with that. I think we would all do the same if we were in his position, realistically. And you can say that you wouldn't, but you would. Unless you're a Man United fan, of course. But yeah. Right, I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Feels like a good point to end today's stream. We've talked about everything that we wanted to speak about. I want to thank everybody for watching today. The results of the poll before we leave: 50% of you want Gyökeres and 50% of you want Sesko. Wow, literally head and head. It's just gone to 51% Sesko. We're going to end the stream here, guys. Thank you so much. Please do make sure to drop a like on this video before you leave. It does really help. There's over 500 people watching. Let's get to 500 likes. Literally one click of the screen will help me out. So please like the video before you go. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll be back tomorrow. If anything breaks during the day, obviously I'll go live as well. Have an amazing day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.